Hi, everyone. So we are going to be working on, let me pull our screen up so you can see exactly what we're going to be working on. But we are going to be working in our new packet. So please make sure you're in our new packet on pages 9, 10, and 11. We do not have any homework. We will have a quiz later in the week. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But please turn to page 9 and we will begin. Okay, today we're talking about two-step equations. It's the same thing we were doing, except now we have two steps to do. We're going to add or subtract first. Now you can see where it says that. First, we find the constant, and we add or subtract. So this right here is what we do first. We get rid of the adding or subtracting, the number all by itself. So we look here. 3x plus 5. This is all by itself. That's the constant. So we need to get rid of a plus 5. How do we get rid of a plus 5? We're going to minus 5. So let's start like how we've been doing. Draw a line. Subtract 5. Subtract 5. 3x equals 10 minus 5 is 5. Okay, that's the first step. Step 2 is to take the number with the variable and either multiply or divide to get rid of it. So now this is just a regular one-step problem that we've been doing. Draw my line. How do I get x by itself? Divide both sides by 3. And x equals, we're going to do 5 divided by 3. And let's put it into a fraction. We get 1 2/3. So my second step, was divide by 3. Okay, let's look at our next problem. I'm actually going to move this just because it might take up some space. So, draw my line. First step is to find the constant or the number all by itself. So I look, here is minus 7 all by itself. I'm actually going to change the color just so our colors match. A minus 7 is all by itself. How do we get rid of a minus 7? We are going to add 7. So I'm going to plus 7 plus 7. 2.5x equals 4 plus 7 is 11. Now my second step, I have the 2.5 touching the x. So what operation is that when it's being touching like that? It's being multiplied. So to undo multiplication, we are going to divide by 2.5. I don't know how to get rid of this. Let's just move that up there. Oh, that's my 11. Sorry, guys. As you know, my feelings on Cami. Okay, so we're going to do that. Let me just move it again. Okay, so divide both sides by 2.5. Now, we're going to type in our calculator. 11 divided by 2.5, and I get x equals 4.4. That's a nice decimal, so we'll leave that one like that. Okay, let's look at our next problem. So I'm going to find the number all by itself without an x right here, my 4. What kind of 4 is that? It is a plus 4. Notice how there's no minus sign in front. So since there's no minus sign, it's a plus. So to get rid of plus 4, we are going to subtract 4. So let's draw our line. Subtract 4 over here. Subtract 4 over here. I'm left with what? This one's a little tricky. What is left over here? A minus 5x or negative 5x. And 12 minus 4 is 8. Okay. Now, my second step, it's being multiplied. How do I undo multiplication? I'm going to divide by a negative 5. So let's divide both sides by negative 5. 8 divided by negative 5 gives me negative 1.6. So again, the first step is we either add or subtract. We're getting rid of the thing without the variable. After we get rid of that constant or the number all by itself, then we multiply or divide. We move to the number that has the variable. So we're going to do a bunch more. Let's continue on. Okay. If you want to write the first step, you can. You don't need to. So I'm going to start by drawing my line. I first find the number all by itself with no x attached to it. So here we go. It's a -8. How do we get rid of -8? We add 8. So I'm left with 2x over here. 10.8 plus 8 gives me 18.8. Now this is like a one-step equation. I have the 2x. It's touching the x. We undo multiplication by doing division. So divide both sides by 2. 18.8 divided by 2 is 9.4. We are not going to be doing any checks today. We can do checks another time. I just want to make sure you guys fully understand how to do this. Okay, let's look at the next one. Draw my line. I need to find what is by itself first. I see, okay, here's my 5x plus 7.5. 7.5 does not have the variable attached to it, so this is what we got to get rid of, plus 7.5. How do we get rid of plus 7.5? Minus 7.5. So I'm left with 5x equals 2 minus 7.5 gives me a negative 5.5. Now the 5 and the x are touching. Since they're touching, that means multiplication. So to undo multiplication, we do division. Both sides divided by 5. Negative 5.5 divided by 5 gives me negative 1.1. Okay, let's look at our next example. We have some fractions here, so let's draw our line. Okay, for this one, we have 1/2 x minus 1/8. Well, we're not using the 1/2 yet because it's touching the x, so we're going to mess around with this minus 1/8. How do you get rid of a minus 1/8? We add 1/8. So plus 1/8 to both sides. I'm left with a 1/2 x equals, and in my calculator, I'm going to do 3/4 plus 1/8. So 3/4 plus 1/8, and I get 7/8. Now, this 1/2 is being multiplied. To undo multiplication, we do division. But can you ever really divide a fraction? No, you need to multiply by the reciprocal. 2/1 to both sides. Cross those off. So 7/8 times 2/1 gives me 1 3/4. Hopefully this is making a little bit of sense to you. If you guys do have questions, make sure you please ask me when I see you, or you can always feel free to send me a quick little email. Okay. I think that's it for that page. All right, so let's solve for each variable. These ones might be a little bit easier, so let's see. I'm going to draw my line. I find whatever is by itself. I have a plus 12 by itself. So to get rid of plus 12, I subtract 12 from both sides. I'm left with a 3x equals 24 minus 12 is 12. Now I have to get x by itself. The 3 and the x are touching, so that's multiplication. The opposite multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. We're all done with that one. Okay, let's look at the next one. In your head, think, what's the first thing I'm going to do? Did you say get rid of the minus 10? Because if you did, you're right. So we're going to get rid of minus 10 by adding 10 to both sides. I have 9x equals 63. The 9 and the x are touching, so we're going to undo it by dividing. And x equals, and type 63 divided by 9, and you will get 7. Okay, I think now you need to turn your page. I have the I do, we do, you do, you do. So let's see how we do with this. So the I do, I have an x over 3 plus 5, 6 equals 1.5. This one, little bit of trickiness because the x is over the 3, so you might not notice the x right away. But it's there with the 3, so we're not going to touch that. So we're going to get rid of the 5, 6. It's a plus 5, 6, so we're going to subtract 5, 6 from both sides. I'm left with x over 3 equals 1.5. And again, 1 ABC 2 minus 5, 6 gives me 2/3. Now, what is that imaginary number in front of that x? There's an imaginary 1. This is being multiplied, so undo multiplication with division. We can't really do that, so we multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 1. 3 over 1. So x equals 2/3 times 3 over 1, which just equals 2. Okay, let's look at the we do. In your head, what do you think we're going to do first? Did you say get rid of the minus 11.5 or 11/15? Good. If not, the reason we're getting rid of that is because it does not have the variable with it. You look to the side where the variable is. Once you're there, then you get rid of whatever does not have the variable. So minus 15ths would be plus 11/15. We're left with a 2/5 x equals, so 2, this is a weird one, and 13/15 plus 11/15 gives me 3 3/5. 2 and 13/15 and 11/15. All right. Now this is being multiplied. To undo our multiplication, we do division. We can't divide fractions, so we multiply by the reciprocal. So all we do is flip it over. And x equals, so 3 3/5 times 5 over 2 gives me an answer of 9. All of that, and it just equals 9. All right. So now I would like for you to do the you do's, the whys. You do the you do's. Okay? I'll give you just a minute and then we'll go over them. Okay, so for the first you do, I got an answer of -1. And then the second one, I got 11. If you have questions, like I mentioned earlier, please just ask and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. When you're ready, let's turn to page 11 and we'll look at the more practice. Okay, I am going to do numbers 1, 2, and 3 with you. After that, you will be able to work in small groups or alone, depending on what my substitute decides to have you guys do and based on your behavior. And then you will, like I said, work alone or with partners, and then you can get your answers checked. So I would like to do 1, 2, and 3 together, and then you guys will be on your own. Okay, for this one, we're going to subtract 6 from both sides. We get 4h equals 30 minus 6 gives me 24. The 4 and the h are touching, so I divide by 4, and h equals 6. Okay, Number 2, it's a plus 5, so we get rid of it by subtracting 5. We're left with 2/7 y. Negative 9 minus 5 gives me a negative 14. This has to be divided, but we can't divide, so we multiply by the reciprocal. And a negative 14 times 7 ABC2 gives me negative 49. Be very careful with your negatives. And then finally, I really want to do this one because sometimes the 0 throws people off. I have to still get rid of the plus 6, so I just subtract 6 from both sides. I'm left with a negative 3t. 0 minus 6 is just a negative 6. Divide both sides by negative 3. And we get t equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. 2 negatives make a positive. All right, so for the remainder of the period, I would like for you to complete the rest of the sheet and then get it checked. If you have any questions, again, please let me know. And I think that's it. And if you do have any remaining time, you may use it to have silent study help. Thanks so much, and I will be in later in the day. So if you guys do have questions, you can come find me. All right, see ya.